and she'll join and we can figure it out as we go. Perfect. So, awesome. And I think in the default for setting up this webinar, there's a checkbox to click that says allow people to talk. And I think I did not check that. So that's why we're having to allow people to talk manually.
Okay, unmuting people. I'm very familiar with Hangouts, and I'm very familiar with Jitsi. And with Jitsi, you can set a default join status, but then you can, users can change it. But it feels like maybe Zoom is more formal, like you declare the whole thing as either muted or not muted. So
definitely more formal, yeah. Let's see. So
I also think they're being passive aggressive because they were caught red-handed leaving backdoor web servers on people's machines, right? And
that was what?
I know. And then Apple compounded it because I know they were just trying to fix the problem, but can I just say it makes me really uncomfortable when the manufacturer of my hardware can reach into my machine and change things without telling me.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah, all around kind of ew.
All right, let's see if I can see what's going on here. So I was going to wait for her to join
for the study for your study. I aming her at the moment.
Perfect.
Hello. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yay. Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
You did it. Awesome.
Okay, yay. I think it's working now.
Cool. I was going to run through some intro slides real quick and then transition it over to you. But yeah, so we can give it another minute or two. But I think we're 4 in. I think we're good to go. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, welcome to Women Who Code Python. We're having a study group event tonight. Thank you for being here. So the mission of Women Who Code is to inspire women to excel in technology careers. And we're really all about helping that process, however that looks. So whether it's support, resources, learning, anything like that, we're all about that. Some of our goals are to empower women with skills needed for professional achievement, to educate companies to better promote, retain, and hire talented women, to build a global community where networking and mentorship is valued, and to develop role models and support this generation of engineers. We do have a code of conduct at Women Who Code, so if you feel like anything's a little off, go ahead and submit a report online. This is an inclusive community, so anyone who supports our mission is welcome. With Women Who Code, you get a great deal of resources, such as coding resources. We have a coding resource vault you guys have access to, along with a job board. We also have scholarships and free tickets that we give away through our weekly newsletter, so keep an eye out for that. We also offer leadership positions. So if you're interested in joining our team, reach out at python@womenwhocode.com. We're also a global community, so we're all around the world. And then last but not least, my favorite, Applaud Her. It's all about giving people recognition who don't normally highlight themselves. You're able to do that. So it is awesome. Women Who Code launched 6 tracks this year. Python's one of them. If you're interested to learn more about the other 5, you just go to womenwhocode.com/ and then whatever the track name is that you're interested in. That being said, we want to thank our sponsors. Without them, this wouldn't be possible, so we really know how important these track communities are through the sponsorship. So thank you, McKinsey & Company. Thank you, Python Software Foundation. Thank you, the Home Depot. We super appreciate it. If you're interested in getting involved, we have some open positions on our leadership team. You can become a lead with us or an evangelist. The lead position is more technical, leadership minded, whereas the evangelist is more social media and community engagement. So it just kind of depends on where you want to fit. Speaking of social media, if you haven't already, go ahead and join the conversation. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook right now. We're looking to start a LinkedIn group as well. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. With Women Who Code Python, we have a track summit in November at the end of the year. It's going to be in Atlanta, and that is about all the information that we have right now. So stay tuned. So without further ado, the reason why we're all here, Automate the Boring Stuff Chapter 2. So Jamila, if you want to go ahead and take it away from here, this is your crowd now.
Okay, well, I'm so glad everybody was able to make it. Automate the Boring Stuff, Chapter 2. So this was all about flow control, and that is pretty interesting stuff. I'm just curious, before I even start getting into everything, what did y'all think of this chapter? Uh-oh, where's my video?
Did you click share?
I did. It keeps saying I can't. Wait, hold on.
Okay.
We've discovered Zoom takes a bit. I really struggled.
Okay, let's see if I can share this.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh.
Yes, I can see something.
Yay. Okay. Awesome.
That is
Sorry.
sexy.
Yeah, I was messing around at myself. Sorry about that. I've got a lot of stuff going on the screen. Never mind me. Okay, so yeah, everyone can see, now they can see my screen, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, all the terribleness that you have going on. And let's see, do I have any errors? No, I don't have any errors. Wow, I did go into a very nice infinite loop trying to practice this, but, you know, that's learning. So, okay, back to my original question. My original question was, this was about controlling the flow of your programs. And so I think I was asking if anybody had a chance to read it, what they thought about it, any opinions before we get rolling into it?
Well, I was just telling Emily in the wake of my whole thing with what I was doing earlier this evening that I'm now thinking in flowcharts. Flowcharts are helpful, but sometimes I have trouble processing them. Like if I'm in code mode, I'm in code mode. And if I'm in visual mode, I'm in visual mode. So a flowchart kind of freezes my brain a little.
I agree. I feel like I get lost.
Huh. You know, I never thought of that. What's funny is I totally skipped the flowcharts. Every time they said one, I'm like, nope, not reading this. I think this is the only one I actually read.
So I started reading them and I'm like, you know what? This is boring. Let's just practice the code and figure it out afterwards.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Nice to know. I'm in a lot of flowcharts in my repo. I won't do that again. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it depends. I think everyone is different. Some people might find helpful the flowcharts, you know, but I believe like it depends. Like for a general idea, build a flowchart, I think is helpful. But for doing like these kind of exercises and learning about this, it's just like not for me.
Yeah, I think it's probably really helpful for people who've never coded before, maybe, if they just don't understand the concept of if-then, or if-else, rather. So if this, then we go ahead and do this, else this, then, like, when you say that to people, I think when the first time I tried to teach someone that, if this is the case, then what do you do? If this is the case, then what do you do? Else, and all that stuff. And when we said the sentences, it made sense to them, but when they saw the code, it didn't quite. So it might be like this visual connection for like really, really new people who don't quite understand that concept. But for those of us who've had a chance to look at it, it's just, it's very disjointing to have to do it all over again.
Well, and so the other thing that I think I understand the point of trying to relate this to the real world, but I think also I'm really, really practical minded. And so I think this flowchart would have helped me if it was actually code in the boxes, right? Applying this
you're right. I agree with you.
Right? So like if the start had, definition umbrella, right? And then the first thing is if raining, right? Because that's what the code says. Then it might help me, but this is a little abstract because like, what does this have to do with the code I write?
Right. And then I think, I can see what you're talking about here. Like, it's like they have some of it, but they don't have enough of it to make sense.
Yeah.
So they're missing that key if, else, which is really the crucial part of the whole thing.
Go ahead.
Maybe there is someone else that think different than us. I would like to see because anyone that has an opinion, anyone else?
Well, that would be like an interesting test to like, if we ever find a couple of really new programmers to like throw this flowchart and then one with like if else actually in it next to them and see which one they like appeal to more. But not necessarily recommending testing on newbies, but
you're right.
Just a thought.
But that would be my other critique. I just to quickly say, I find the whole phrase flow control a little bit intimidating.
Oh my gosh, I was going to say that word. You took it out of me.
Just like this, just the fact these two words.
I even read the title and I was like, what?
And I know what they mean. It's a CS term, but that would be my one critique here is that is a very old-fashioned term. It feels very old-fashioned. And there's ways to explain this without resorting to that, I guess.
I had never heard of it before. I had to like come in here and read like, what are you talking about? I have no idea. Like, I actually thought this was like a new computer science concept I had never heard of. And I'm like, oh, you're saying if? Okay, well, that's okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, calming down now. But so I think that and like using Boolean, I know that is the specific definition of what true and false is. They're Booleans, right? That's their type in C-type languages.
Yeah.
But, barriers like that where you have to read things with a dictionary can be really exhausting.
Yeah, definitely. I think I know this is like conditional, right? Like, or I was taught this is just conditional programming or something. I feel like there's another word, conditional something.
Well, I call it conditionals. I often use the word conditional.
I knew it was conditional always, yeah.
Okay. But I guess in formal CS, conditionals are the ifs themselves, whereas flow control is the topic, but whatever. The horse is dead and we're beating it.
Oh,
hi there. Welcome.
This is Lisa. I didn't know how to get the Zoom link. I thought it was going to be in the Slack.
Oh, the direct link. Yeah, Zoom, we're all getting a little used to it. Apologies. Zoom is a little stuffy about their links. And so they send you an individual one. There's like this requirement that you register and then you get a link in your email, which is a little frustrating. So the most we can do is post the link to the registration as opposed to the link to the seminar directly. So apologies for that.
Oh.
And no worries, you didn't miss anything. We're really just critiquing the author on his verbiage.
Yeah, we're just writing about the verbiage.
That's all we've done.
So now we can hear her opinion. See how crazy we are.
Okay. You started off, Lillian. How do you want to pose that question?
So, Lisa, right?
Yes, my name's Lisa.
Welcome.
Welcome, Lisa.
Hi.
Hello, nice to meet you all.
So did you have a chance to take a look at the chapter?
Yes, look at the book.
Yeah.
Yes, I read the book. I read up to chapter 2.
Perfect. So what do you think about the chapter 2?
I like the book. I think he also has YouTube videos, and I've been watching his YouTube videos also. I think it's very helpful. I haven't done any programming in a long time, so he breaks everything down. He started at the very beginning.
Awesome. That's the way to get back. And we were talking about the one of the things we were talking about was of the flow charts that he puts on he has in each sample.
Yes, I thought they were very helpful.
Oh, see?
See?
Someone has a different opinion.
We were complaining, actually specifically, I'm going to own it, I was complaining that the flow charts, that they were a bit abstract because they were talking about something that wasn't related to code, that I would have preferred to have code snippets in that flow chart to kind of track how a program runs. But I'm suffering from a pretty big bias because I tested software for a very long time and I have been coding for a bit. So my perspective is warped. So I'm glad to know that it's helpful for you.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear.
Yes, they're very helpful to me.
Okay, well, now that we have ripped him a new one, and fortunately he's not on this call, let's get into, I think, just some of the basics that this sort of all went over. It started off explaining, okay, so basically we're talking about controlling the flow of our programs. So instead of going line by line by line, we get to choose which direction we go based off of certain conditions being met. So we were taught right at the beginning some things about Boolean values, whether or not they're true or false. And I'm just going to run my way down like as like a quick recap of what, happened here. So stop me, interrupt me whenever you are like, hey, I found something interesting about this. And then we can, towards the end, as we go along, you feel free to, chime in and say what you found interesting, what you liked. But at the end, we'll definitely go over those last practice questions, because I know a lot of people are asking to do that. Before I keep going, any other questions or opinions on how we go about doing this? Anything?
So for me, I always have to stop and clarify the difference between Booleans and comparison operators. I don't know if anyone else freezes a bit when they think about that.
I don't think I did until you said it. And now I'm hesitating. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, do I know? I don't know.
Well, so the way I think about it in my brain, and again, bias, fully own it, but Boolean values are the result, right? Something is true or something is false. Whereas the comparison operators are what happens before the thing goes true or goes false, right? So does this equal that, true or false? Does that not equal that, true or false, right? Is it less than, is it greater than? So those sorts of things. I mean, you can use the comparators or the comparison operators in other places, but when it comes to control flow, most often, right, you're using the comparison operators and then you're doing something if it equates to true and you're doing something else if it equates to false. So like I think of the true and the false as the gates and the comparisons are like how high the gate is or whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like it. So what was interesting, I think what threw me when you first started talking about this, I don't think I had a problem with the Boolean value concept. I think I had a problem more with, not a problem, but comparison operators to Boolean operators.
Yeah.
Like keeping track of that. Like, so Boolean operators, that's not the true and false. It's the and, or not part. And so it's like an evaluation of.
Right, so those are the logical, see,
Right.
and then you go down the rabbit hole. I have a tough time with those three, not with using them, like you said, but with explaining them. I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, why explain? Just get to work.
Like Liliana said, just get coding. Just get your fingers in the code. Enough of this explaining. Enough of the words.
I do think that reading this sort of made me question my sanity sometimes. I'm like, wait, I thought I knew this, but I don't.
Sometimes you do. Yeah, you are like, oh, I know all of this, but sometimes it's like, oh, I think I need to review this.
So yeah, Boolean operators, that's interesting. By themselves are pretty boring, like true and true or true. Okay. And mind you, I have not programmed in a very long time, and I've never really done like executive level coding, but just by themselves, they seem extremely boring. It's when you start actually putting them in conditional situations that they actually seem to bear fruit. So when he made us do this truth table, I was like, no, I remember this, and I thought I was past having to do these. But
it was all a bad memory from logic class.
Yes. But I was actually pleasantly surprised to remember some of these. And the thing is it's one of those, my gut knows the answer, but if I really, really thought about it, I'll confuse myself, I think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out.
Well, and I just said, right, I slung the word operator around, but there's the truthiness and falsiness of something, and then there's the and or nots.
Right.
And then there's the is it bigger than or less than sort of thing. So, and
yeah.
then he can go throw the binary ones in. Ouch.
Did anyone have trouble with the truth tables? Or does it make sense, like true and why that evaluates to true? I probably should have chosen a different one. Or like why a false and true evaluates to false. Everyone's cool with that? Awesome.
Well, yes and no. So I guess what I'm saying is, sure, it makes sense when I read this on the page, but putting it into practice in a program,
it doesn't make sense.
I have to stop and think. So a classic one, they're over at Exorcism, they have a exercise where you're supposed to determine whether or not a year is a leap year, right? And so there's 3 tests for whether or not something is a leap year. And part of the ideal solution for that problem exploits this true and false, false and true. And I look at it, and it always takes me a minute to understand why the code works the way it does, right? Why true and true is true, but true and false is false. Yeah.
I know, I had trouble too. I had to like rethink about it, but why?
Yeah. I've resorted to drawing pictures for myself on occasion for those.
Oh yeah, yeah. Pictures most definitely help.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and writing the code, and just sometimes when all else fails, memorization is what helps, where I just say, oh, so that is true and that is true, and it came out true. And now I'm going to type one that's true and false, and it's going to come out false. So we're just going to remember that.
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. I'm like,
yeah, like try and fail.
Yep.
Like just try it and see, oh, is this? No, it's that.
Learn something new every day.
Well, and one of the algorithms classes I took, it's like, first you do the brute force, and then you think about it some more. It's the brute force. You just do it and experience it. Anyway. So.
Ooh, okay, not. I felt like I had a good concept of not. That one was it made me feel better about myself.
That's awesome. It made you feel better about yourself.
No, it's just the opposite, basically, to me at least.
I also like the way he introduces this, because a common thing that I see, and that I catch myself doing on occasion is I will do a test for not equal, as in exclamation point equal sign. But when it comes to doing something that is true, false, or none, as we get to functions, not is a better operator than not than the bang equal sign. It's considered more Pythonic to do not than to do not equal.
Yeah, that's true.
I did not pick up on that. That's a good point.
Yeah. And it reads better. The bang equal is useful in in the circumstances where you need it, but not true is immediately recognizable. So
yeah.
Yeah, see, so then when we start to mix Boolean and comparison, yeah, here's where the party gets started.
Oh my God, you're reading my mind tonight.
Why was this your favorite part? This was your favorite part, right?
Kind of.
Yeah. Nah. Well, this is always the twisty bit, right? Actually, I should let me see if I can share this.
Oh, do I need to stop sharing?
No, continue.
Okay.
Continue on. When I find it, I'll let you know.
I think for this one, it was really helpful to see this picture. At least for, I think, new individuals, this will definitely help them see, first you have to evaluate one piece, and then you have to evaluate the next piece, and then you worry about the and. That's the very last portion you have to worry about. So it's basically just like you have an order of operations, just in general, you have an order of the operators, the comparison operators, and those are the very last things to evaluate themselves. So if you're familiar with like Excel at all, that's basically the way Excel functions are calculated as well.
By chance,
I thought this was a nice helpful. I'm sorry, go on.
That's okay. By chance, are you sharing a different part of your screen, or are we just supposed to see your shell?
Yeah, because we are not seeing anything. I think
we're only seeing your shell. I didn't even think to say.
Are you kidding me?
That.
I've been sitting here scrolling. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we're seeing your PowerShell.
Our own copies of our books, so I think we're good. But yeah,
I'm so sorry. Okay, hold on. Let me reshare and try that again. Let me try this.
Yes?
No?
Ooh, yeah. That's nice.
We can
okay. Yeah. There we go.
Oh, yeah. I am in that page right now, so we're good.
Yeah, I starred this part.
Yeah, that's really nice, the way that he's like putting it per part so you can see exactly what he's doing and how he's playing it in the video is really helpful. And I just think with the combination, like to learn the not operator, each separate, you just have to memorize it. That's it. If you memorize it and it's just keep practicing on your mind, it just floats right away.
Yeah, that's a good point. The flow. Like eventually, once you get that memorization down, it'll just flow and it'll just come and you don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, and those are the kind of things that if you don't memorize, you just have it handy whenever you're doing some program and you're trying to see some results. You just go to that cheat sheet, like kind of stuff that you have to put in notes and you can refer back anytime.
That's a good idea, especially since it's a truth table. It's always true, so it's not like it's going to change or anything.
Yeah.
So just write it up. Did you find what you were looking for?
I did.
Ooh, okay.
So I can share it if you'd like.
Sure.
See, how do I do this? Okay. So I'm going to share my upper screen with you guys. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So this is a little exercise on exorcism. It's kind of a cool place to practice little programming things. And if
I
you do
have to admit, thank you for showing me the words for that, because I was like, what is she talking about? Like an exorcist or something? I was very
well, and you know what's
Fine.
really funny? Before they redid the website, their little logo was an E with horns as a pun on exorcist. And then they thought that was probably alienating some people. So they redid it to be more friendly. But it's supposed to be exercise, not exorcist.
Okay, gotcha.
That's the ER instead of OR. But it's an easy mistake to make. So what's cool about this, I'll just show you really quick, is that you can sign up for all these different language tracks. And what they try to do is keep the problem definition and the problem difficulty level across the languages. So that if you do Hello World in Python, and then you do Hello World in Go, that all you're learning is the differences between the language, and you're not like renegotiating a different problem, which I think is really cool. There are tests for all of the problems. So the process is you download the problem description and the tests, you write code until the tests pass, then you upload the solution to the website. And then if you've decided that you want mentoring and do a mentored track, then a human picks up your solution and gives you feedback on it, which I think is really cool.
Have you helped other people in here, or can you?
Yes. So I'm a mentor, and I've mentored about 500 solutions.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I've gotten mentoring. So here's one. The Leap one is old, but I can pull up this one, which I really, really struggled on. This was hard. So this, you can see up here the iterations. It took me 5 rounds to get this to a place where both I and the mentor were happy with it. But then here they are saying, really don't worry about the brain freeze. It's dynamic programming. It's not simple. But, you know, this person walked me through each step and gave me pointers on my code. And so what's really lovely about this is it gets you used to things like code reviews, which can be painful and they can be fraught, but they're a whole lot less threatening if someone else who wants to help you is giving you kind and thoughtful feedback, right?
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I am always blathering about them. Everybody I talk to is sick of hearing me say how much I love these guys, but I do. I love these guys. So I just wanted to show you the leap exercise. So this basically was give it a year, report if it's a leap year. So these are the rules. And so the first time that I did this, because, you know, I don't have those Boolean operators down as well, is I did it this way, right? So an if test for every single one. But you can combine these. And so if you do the Boolean operation, you can, as somebody pointed out to me here, you can short circuit it and do this.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Wow.
See, this is the one I was saying where like I have to stop and think every time, but then when you look at it, you're like, oh, obviously, right? But it's because it's exploiting the and or, right, the operators.
But you know, it's quite possible that in order to get to this step, you mentally had to do that previous step.
Oh,
like,
I totally think
your
so.
brain just had to go there first.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what I think Liliana is saying, and that's what I'm saying too, is like sometimes you have to simply memorize, and then you think on it, and then you're like, oh yeah. And there are some people who are awesome who can just think this way, but I can't. I have to practice first. Yeah. Anyway, that's me. Enough. I'll let it go.
Well,
I just
cool.
went to the
Thank you for...
website, and I just signed up on that website.
On Exorcism?
Yes.
Awesome.
I did too.
We're going to have to add it to our resources page in Slack. It's going to be great.
That's a good resource, yeah.
Yeah, it can take, so I don't want to get your hopes up too high. We're in Exorcism is in dire need of more mentors. I got an update from last week, and the queue has 1,100 people in it.
Oh, wow.
So the average wait time, they're getting the queue down. People are working very hard on it, but it's because Python is really popular and because I think Exorcism does a great job, and so people talk about it, and so more people sign up. Yeah, I think you may wait. You won't for the Hello World exercise, and you won't for the twofer, which is the very next one on the track. But when you get to the third one, you might have to wait a week. They're trying to get that wait time down to under like 4 days. But just keep in mind that it's not something that you can plow through fast because humans are processing the queue. So we're slow.
Yeah.
But that's a nice thing for your brain. Like if you leave a problem behind for a week and come back and then have to try to remember it all, like from a learning theory perspective, that's actually really helpful for your brain to try to remember, why was I doing this? Why did I code it the way I did? And then try to go back through that motion. It's going to solidify it a lot further in your brain. So it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, I would agree that is a good thing. And there's also a safety valve. If you really feel like something is not worth spending your time on, or you're absolutely stuck and you have to walk away from it, you can skip. So there's a way to skip. And also, if you feel like you just want to plow through a bunch of things because what you want to do is work on passing all the tests, you can choose not to get human feedback, although I think that's a really powerful thing, is to get human feedback. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, blocks of
Let's keep
code.
going. Yeah. So we've got conditions. So this is where I felt like, okay, finally we get to code something that makes sense. This is why we're here, right? We did all the foundation stuff, and now we actually can print according to very specific conditions. For me, understanding the block of code thing is different because I'm, once again, new to Python. So not having the curly braces was interesting, and I liked it. I like this not having to do all the extra work to just define where my if starts and where it ends, and just leaving it up to proper indentation. So that's cool.
That is very cool. There's a cool Easter egg about that may or may not still be in Python. Let's see. I think it's if you type from future import braces. No, it doesn't work in Python 3. But if you were in Python 2, if you typed from future import braces, it would print out not a chance.
Oh, that's so sad.
It was a joke aimed at, people who come in from languages that use curly braces.
Yeah.
And they're not used to the indentation in Python, and they're like, where are my curly braces? And Python's like,
I'm okay with that. That's not a problem. Indentation sufficient. I'm trying to think. So am I seeing, is this my imagination, or is else supposed to be like slightly indented to the right like that?
No, I think that's typographically incorrect. When I do that in my code editor, I get a little...
Yeah, if you do it, it'll give you an error, because I was wondering the same thing. I was like, it shouldn't be that way. You can test it right now and it will give you an error.
Okay, so I just start that over. What we were doing an if password, whatever. Less than 25.
And idle might try to save you from that by, automatically indenting for you. But
and then else. So if I want it, so I need to pull this over?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you put one space in front of the else, I think Python's going to toss an error.
Yeah, put a space in the else.
And you're missing a colon after 25?
Oh, details, schmeetails.
Exactly. These piddly little things.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. I want to do this thing. So I'm trying to say what am I forgetting here?
You're forgetting that you can use double quotes and single quotes. So use double quotes on the outside and you can use single quotes on the inside.
Okay, so I can flip it when I need to use the apostrophe basically on the inside.
Yes, that's
Exactly.
right.
Now, you can also escape it. And so there are people who, learned C first, and so their reflex is to put a backslash in front of that to escape it.
Yeah, that's
Python will let you, but it's ugly. No, the other way. The other, it needs to be pointed.
Yeah, the other way.
Yeah. And that is an ignore character. But for
yes, I did that on purpose because I didn't want it to run twice. But so this where did it go? Should work.
Well, no, because you've got a mismatched quote, so the quotes have to match there, and then you need a apostrophe in front of the M.
Thank you. Details. Okay, so let's try
and
that.
colon after the else. Sorry. I'm one of those annoying people.
No, like this is not. Colons are not normal. I can't do it by default, so I'm gonna learn.
Yeah, the columns are not normal. Yeah, you're right. You're fine.
Okay.
You're great.
So let's try running this baby. I thought I did that, but okay. Oh, there we go.
See how you get the error?
Match, and you get that long, like, stuffy message. Your unindent does not match any other.
Like what? You're like, what?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you need age equal. Yeah, there we go.
Save it.
Didn't I? I thought I did.
Woohoo! Yay! Woo!
Yay!
And can I just mention that I really like the party colors that IDLE uses. It's very IDLE seems it has very happy syntax highlighting. Very happy.
It does.
Yeah, it is kind of cute though.
That was very pleasant. Quite pleasant.
Yep.
Okay, so that's our block stuff. So going through our program execution, we had ifs, and then we had else.
Go back up to the flowchart. So see that one is much more readable to me.
See, if name, I automatically put the if in there. If the name is equal to Alice, print Alice. Otherwise, get out of here.
Yeah.
Very helpful flowchart there. Ooh, let me stop. Did anyone have any questions? Because I keep just like sliding through. Any questions so far? Any other comments people want to make?
No questions so far.
Okay, I'm gonna speed up just a tiny bit because I know we want to do those questions at the end. Okay, so we have our if else. So there's the if and then the else, and then we just had this conversation about this else needing to be over here.
Yeah, the typesetting is a little janky.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And then we had an elif. So this is what I'm used to called an else if, but same concept. And we'll pull that one over here as well. But these are all of our blocks of code just based off of indentation. So if this, else if this, else if this, else if this. That makes sense. So the key thing here, always when you're doing these else ifs, to me has always been make sure you don't leave something out.
Well, and the other thing that is a gotcha that every once in a while will bite me in the butt is if you are going through these in order, okay?
Yes.
The first one that evaluates to true happens, and it will not it stops evaluating at that point.
Agreed.
So if you have an if, elif, else, that's not going to do all the ones that are true. It's only going to do the first one it finds, and then it's bailing.
Right.
So I have to remind myself of that.
Which I think is interesting I had to like step back for a minute, but yeah, I think it's interesting that way that just find the one right and skip the rest. I don't know. I think it makes sense to me.
Well, and if you think about it, evaluating from top to bottom, right? And as Jamila said, else if, right? The elif doesn't quite track, but if you think of it, else if, right? If the first thing happens, we're done. Else, if the second thing happens, we're done. Else, so yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I think the reason, interesting. I think that when I've done my conditional formatting in the past, I have always indented my else's. So like they have always like the if was the primary, and then everything else had been indented just a tiny bit to say that we're all part of this one if concept, even though they can be evaluated differently. So I think that's why I keep struggling to make sure to put everything on the left-hand side. It's just
right. So that's I think the big gotcha between languages like JavaScript, Java, C, any language that uses the curly braces and the semicolon for blocks and for statements, is that horizontal white space at that point is not significant, right?
Yeah, that's
in Python,
right.
Horizontal white space is significant. Indentation, it counts. And so you can't indent the else further, because then you're telling Python that it's part of a nested if underneath the if, right? Whereas you don't, like in Java, and that's a classic question to trip people up in Java. If it's enclosed in, or in JavaScript, if it's enclosed in the curly braces, then it belongs to a block. So yeah, then you can indent the else, because the else is inside the curly braces, and JavaScript doesn't care at that point, but Python cares. So.
Oh, well, I will adapt. No worries. Let's see. Any other things people liked about the if, else if thing, or big takeaways?
I think it's kind of your sentiment that you expressed. It's kind of like, now we're cooking. Now we're getting to the.
This is why we're here. Okay, while loops. Ooh, these are fun. This is where you can just you can have a lot of power, and if you don't write it right, you can go in infinite loops. So it's going to be great.
I want to push a little bit. I think this is a bad example, because while loops should be about indefinite iteration. I guess this is indefinite iteration, but I think that this one is, I think this is a little bit of a weak example. Just because you're counting up and you're counting up and you're counting up until you hit a limit, and that feels like it's a definite loop, not an indefinite loop. But all right, I'm whining. Never mind.
Ooh, so actually, you might like the example they had a little further down. I think it was sort of like right about something about this, maybe.
Yeah, typing your name until the condition is met.
Correct.
Right, and you go as many times as you need until the condition is met. Yeah, that feels more like a classic definition to me of a while loop.
So always trying to make sure that, well, I'm just repeating what you just said. Yes, exactly. When you're trying to do your while loops, just make sure that you can eventually meet your condition. Otherwise, you end up in that infinite loop forever and ever. Or this is one of those, my user experience mentality is coming out. This is a great to help the person not get into an infinite loop. Because if you don't give them enough information so that they can get to that next step, then they're going to be sitting on this step forever and cursing your name the entire time. So this would be like my very first time of, please print your name and just whatever additional information they need in order to pass this and move on to the next step. So
no, that's really, really important. You know what else I find really interesting is this seems like such a basic concept, right? Because we're learning this right at the beginning. But I was flabbergasted to find out that this is how your operating system works, right?
yeah.
This is like at the root of any interaction ever. It's it's basically waiting for Godot. Your computer is sitting there listening endlessly for clicks until it gets turned off. It's so, yeah.
A little baby while loop is powering the world.
There we go.
So, this is a question from the end, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it out now. What's the difference between a break statement and a continue statement?
I'm not going to answer this one. Somebody answer this one.
Why do I use a break statement? Why would I use that?
I have it. Let's see. The break statement lets you break out of a while loop. And the continue, I think it goes back to the beginning.
There you go. So and it's not just while. Please correct me, Bethany, or anybody. I think it's while or for as well. When we get down to the for stuff, when you're in this loop, you use break when you just want to cease the loop. Done. We're done. I quit. Move on with our lives. While continue is go back to the top of the loop. Don't start it over, but just go all the way back to the top so that I can continue on looping.
Yeah. So I think of it as a merry-go-round. It's like break is let me the F off of this merry-go-round, right? Whereas you think of continue as I've gone around once, but I would like to go around again. And so break, safety valve, so that you don't get stuck in endless loops. But the continue is really interesting in a for loop for processing. So if you were to go through a list of numbers, and I use this example a lot, you want to go through a list of numbers and all you want to do is print out even numbers and you don't want to print out the odd numbers. That might be a place where you would use a continue because your test would be, is the number even or is it odd? If it's even, I want to print it. But if it's odd, carry on. Right? I'm ignoring the odd ones, just loop again, right? Go around again. And so I use continue quite a bit when I'm doing processing like that. Yeah.
So I think the way that we learned for loops, maybe I'm wrong, but I guess the way we learned for loops was using it within a range. Mm-hmm. So in this case, for this number in this range, do this however many times, 5 in this particular case. So what you're describing, it's not in a range.
Well, no. And also that's 4 because ranges start at 0 and the last number in a range is excluded. So it goes from 0 to 4, which is 5 repeats. But
correct, yes.
Yeah, but what you can do, so in a for loop, it will take any iterable. So iterable is a schmancy word, but basically what it's telling Python is, if I can rummage through the individual pieces of this, then we're good. So you can write a for loop that goes through every letter in a string. You can write a for loop that goes through every number in a range. You can write a for loop that goes through every item in a list. You can write a for loop that goes through every key in a dictionary. And the things that the thing that all those things have in common is that they are what Python classes as iterable. That means that the Python interpreter can bring up an internal index counter and it can pull up the individual pieces of it one by one. So for, and I can, let me see if I can pull up my code editor. So let's see.
This sounds advanced, man.
No, it's not advanced. I'm going to show you a really simple, if you want to, I'll share my screen.
Stop sharing, Jamila. Stop sharing. There we go.
Okay, let me share my screen. If I can share my screen.
Oh, you know what? I'm already piecing together what you said. I bet I...
Okay, can you see this okay? Is this big enough for you guys? Okay, so
yeah.
I'm right down here in this corner. So if I do this, okay, and I'm going to make myself a little list. Okay, so that's a list of the numbers 1 through 9. These little brackets mean it's a list. Lists are iterable. So if I say for number in input, print number. It prints all the numbers that are in there. But what I can do is also say for number in input, if number modulo 2, if number mod 2 doesn't have a remainder. So if the number is divisible by 2, if it's even, print the number, else continue.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, and so what does that do? 2, 4, 6, 8.
So this is a way to use the for loop without having to do the range, because you have you actually have a list of something that it's going to work its way through progressively one by one.
Right, you have, and again, it's a, you know, an SAT word,
Iterable.
but iterable, right? So you can also do my string. Don't name your variables this. You're not supposed to put the type in your variable, but I'm going to just do this. Okay, so strings are also iterable. So you can say for, let's see. Oh, I need a double equals. Thank you, PyCharm, for underlining that in red. Whoop. Shoot. I just, all right, I'm going to have to type again. Sorry. I just
But the idea, let me see if I can see what it's going to do. So you were saying, so it's going to go through the name Bethany, one letter at a time. And when it hits the E, it should print the letter E. And then it'll continue on throughout the other letters. And if it doesn't encounter another E, then it's not going to do anything.
Yep. That's perfect. You got it. And then the other concept here is that, sorry, I can't think and type at the same time. Okay, so let me do this. Right, so all it printed was E because there are no other E's in there. But the more general thing behind this is Python doesn't care what you put here as long as it meets the test of an iterable. So if I change my string to, and be really rude, and change it to a number, this is going to toss an error. Int object is not iterable. Ints, integers, and floats are not things that Python can break down and rummage through. They're a whole non-separable value.
Oh, okay. And so that's why range is iterable, because a range is saying if I did range of 5, I'm basically saying everything from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
Or when you did the other versions of the range where it like had a start and an end, that's your range. Those are the list of things that you're going through.
Exactly, and I'm glad you said list, because in earlier versions of Python, okay, the 2 series of Python, Python internally, when you called range, it would create a list, and then it would go through the list. And internally, what that meant is it was taking up memory. So one of the big deals in 3 is that they rewrote the underlying code so that range became, it's list-like, but it's not a list. It doesn't take up space in memory in the same way. It became
that's nice.
efficient. Yeah. So there's a whole esoteric thing that I will not go into, but in a sense, range is it's an iterator type. It's a generator, and so it doesn't make the list. But that is exactly the concept. It's really, you know, it's a range. It's a list of things that Python goes through. And so there's a whole list of things. So strings are one of those things. Keys in a dictionary are one of those things. Items on a list. Things inside a tuple, things inside a set, all of those things Python can rummage through. And so it makes a for loop really clean because you don't have to set up a counter. You can just say, hey, Python, go until there's no more left in here. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I love Python.
I can't tell.
No, I know. I don't blather enough about it, right?
Oh, wow. Any other questions or comments before we hit towards the end?
I have a question. It was on the section an equivalent while loop.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Equivalent while loop. Where it says the print line, Jimmy 5 times. Why did they put those plus symbols by the string?
A plus symbol is a shortcut in Python for concatenation. So if you want to glue two strings together, you can do it with a plus sign. So if you look, Jimmy 5 times open parentheses is one string, and then the str is converts things to a string type. So the str is a constructor for a string. So I is a number, but in order for it to be in the sentence, it needs to actually be a string. So if you take those off, Python will complain.
So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm taking off the little plus signs. It does not like that.
It doesn't like the plus signs. And then also, if you put the plus signs in, but take off the str around the I, it's going to toss an error and tell you that int and string cannot be concatenated. Can only concatenate string.
So we come back and we make this I. So that I is the number that we're seeing, the integer. So we're trying to first make that a string so that it can be added into this full string that we have going on here. On the left-hand side, we have a string. On the right-hand side, we have a string. And now we're adding this number, converting it to a string so it can be part of this whole string with the little plus signs. So hopefully, if I did that right.
Voila. So there's another schmancy trick because you were running Python 3.7.3 that you can do. It's a type of string called an F string that will allow you to omit those plus signs. So if you take away the plus signs and put curly braces around the string, not the F, just do, no, you need to keep the, you need to keep the round braces around the I. You'll still need to convert the I. So put the round braces around the I, and then around the whole thing, put curly braces.
Here?
Around str, yes. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and then what you need to do is remove the single quote to the left of that curly brace and the single quote to the right. And then you need to put an F all the way to the left of the first, yes. Okay. So, oh, actually, I'm sorry. I told you to remove the single quote, and you have to actually put them back in. So the single quote to the left of the, or to the right of the 5 times parenthesis there, and then put it back on the other side of the close, sorry. Okay, there we go. So instead of putting the plus signs in, if you put the curly braces in, this is kind of like a little template Python knows that what goes inside the curly braces gets evaluated and then popped back into the string. And so that should work. Where is it in valid syntax? str. No, that, well, okay. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Jimmy 5 times open, close. Try removing the quotes. I apologize.
No worries. This is how we code.
That ought to work. Why is that? Yep, there we go. So what's nice about this, do you notice that it's actually putting space around the number? What's nice about using an F string is that it's visually literal. So it will show up the way you want it to, and it only replaces what's inside the curly braces. So if you want no spaces around the number, then you want to take the space away from, yeah. So it literally will print, yeah.
What is the F? Is it like format? Oh, I haven't. This is my first time hearing this, so I'm excited.
F is just, and they're called F strings. It's the symbol they chose to denote the string. And it's just, if you've ever done template strings in JavaScript, or you've ever worked with like a templating language on a web page, it's the same thing. Those curly braces mean drop the replacement inside here, like drop it in. And so, yeah, so that's a way, but the plus signs work totally well. Those will work fine in Python, and those are a great way to do short stuff. This curly brace thing is more for if you have something like long and complicated, like you start to concatenate something together and it ends up being multiple lines. This can sometimes shorten that so that you don't have to wrap it in a weird way or something like that. So anyway, all right.
Cool.
I've bogarted enough. I'm going to be silent for the rest.
Okay. Any other questions on this last little bit that we have? It's the import. So that's basically saying we have the built-in functions at the beginning. So the stuff that we learned in chapter 1, like print and input and length. But now we have more functions that we can use if we import a module at the beginning. So like if you want to do some random numbers, you throw your import at the front. And now you can do the random integer function. So that was the import statement. And then the sysexit allows you to, similar to break and continue, and that you want to get out of something, you can just exit the program altogether using the sysexit. Of course, making sure you import sys first.
Sys is really cool. That is where you can actually, along with another one called path, it will actually let you walk, like you can write a find program, say for your laptop. It'll walk paths for you. And it will find files and subfolders and things like that. So the sys file and the path file, the sys module and the path module are really cool.
Any other questions for this stuff? Okay, so question 1 then, quiz. What are the 2 values for a Boolean data type, and how do you write them?
True and false, capital T, capital F.
Yes. Okay. What are our 3 Boolean operators?
And or not.
And, or, and not. Yes. Awesome. The truth tables. Ugh. I have it written.
Come on, you love them.
Okay, yes. So for this one, I'll do, who wants to take one? Who wants to take and? You. Okay, I'll do and. Someone else is going to do or then. Okay, if we're doing true and true, it's going to be true. If we're going to do true and false, it will be false.
False.
If it's false and true, it will be false.
Uh-huh.
And if it's false and false, It is false.
It is false. Uh-huh.
That is the and. Okay, who's taking or?
True or true is true.
Yep.
True or false is false.
Oh,
True or
try that again.
Right?
false is true.
Do you see why?
True. It's true or it's false. It's true. Yes.
Okay, cool.
False or false is false.
Yep.
And I don't remember the last one. I've lost track.
And false.
It's the switching one, false and true. False or
I
true.
got lost too, so you did great.
Yes. And then who's going to take not? That one's a good one. Real hard.
Yeah, that's really, really hard.
Go, Liliana.
Why me?
Because you think it's so hard. Let's do it. You got this. Memorize.
All right. What am I doing again?
Okay, not true. What's not true?
So what's not true? I screwed up at this, man.
It's okay. So all you're trying to do, the answer will be either true or false. So if I say something is not true, it is
False.
perfect.
False. And then if it's
Not false.
not false, it's true, right?
Correct.
And we're not going to make you do the not true or not false.
No.
No. Don't kill me right now. No, and then I was back and forth because my niece came from the pool and I was putting her to have a shower and then hearing you guys, so it was kind of hard to follow along. I was like, where are you guys at?
No worries. Okay, so what do the following expressions evaluate to? So this first one, so like each one of these are their own line. So for the very
Okay.
first one,
False.
correct.
First one's false. The second one is
False.
False too, right? No.
the third one
Yes.
is true.
Wait, are we on the second one or the third one? Okay, let's say the second one again. What's the second one?
False.
False.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct.
Number 3?
The third one,
True.
False.
True.
oh,
That one's true.
That's true.
true, false, or true.
Okay, that's true
Oh.
because you only need one of them to be true to evaluate the true.
Yeah.
So that's true, right?
Yep,
Okay.
that's a
I
true.
was like, oh, damn. Yeah, these I had to think about it, so I cannot go that fast.
This one is hard for me because I often, because I'm thinking with my speaking brain and not my programming brain, I read or as either. It is not either. It is or, logical or, which means
Yeah, I know. Me too. Okay, let's do the next one, which she has a bunch of brackets, so.
Okay, so this one, the way I always think of it when I see all these parentheses, I go straight to the middle and then work my way left to right. So don't focus on the outside part. Let's get towards the middle. So we're in the or. So this or this, let's do this part first. So 5 is greater than 4. That's true.
True.
Or 3 is equal to 5. That's false. So true or false is
Is
True.
True.
true. Okay, so then we have not true.
Would be false.
false. Woo!
Yeah.
Okay, so-
true and true.
Doing it again, we're coming to the middle. So this is the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So on the left is true,
True.
and on the right,
Is false.
false. So we have a true and false make
False.
True.
True.
false.
false. It's an and.
And
True
Both
and
must
true
equate.
make no true and true make it true.
I agree with that, but this was a true and a false.
Yeah.
And
True.
Oh, true and a false. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Got it.
Okay, so now we have an or. So what is not false?
True.
True.
Not true.
False.
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 So we have a true
True
or false.
or
True.
false.
So
True.
it's true.
Perfect. Woo!
This is a lot of work.
And now we get cake because that was a lot of work.
It really was. Okay. The 6 comparison operators.
Equal to, not equal to, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to.
Yes. And I think,
And
let's see.
then greater than and less than.
Oh, greater than, less than, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Greater than or less than.
So when you're doing that, make sure it looks something like this. And your equal to is not an assignment operator. It's to.
Mm-hmm.
So like that.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, next one. Oh, yeah. What's the difference between equal and the assignment operator?
You just said it.
Yeah. Well, okay, I showed it. What is the functional difference between the two?
What is that? Say that again? What was the question?
Okay. Which one is that? This one right here.
An assignment.
Assignment.
What does an assignment do?
Assign something to a variable.
Perfect. So I can do something like this.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what?
Comparison.
Right. So it's asking a question. Is the age equal to 26? While this is making a statement. Age is now 26.
That's right.
Okay.
Ladies, I had to step out, so sorry.
No worries.
Got my things to do, but thank you. I almost made it to the end.
We went
Finish.
over. We definitely went
Finish
over. That's
without
okay.
me, but yeah, it was great. Thank you for everything. I'll talk
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Explain what a condition is and where you would use one.
It's for flow control. It evaluates down to true or false.
Right. Well,
So why would you use? Why do we care about that?
Condition. You need it in your loops.
you need it so that you know when to do something, when to perform a certain type of code. So only under these circumstances will this code execute. And if it meets those particular conditions, then it's allowed to print or add more or whatever the code says it's supposed to do. So it allows you to control what type of code is run.
And when it's run.
And when it's, yes, true.
Because I often think of like the Python interpreter as like this really eager Labrador that's just going to chase its tail until it's told to do something else. And so, you know, the statements will just keep executing. And so if you want something else besides something strung together in a long chain, if you want to pause, if you want to stop, if you want to take a different path, then that's where you use these. Otherwise, the computer's just going to march into a straight line until it falls over sideways.
I like to see that actually happen. That's awesome.
Or as C programmers call it, all the memory fills up and you crash. You crash the processor.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so our 3 blocks of code. This one was tricky for me, I guess, because I'm thinking of it differently, but I guess I'm seeing it as everywhere I see an indent, basically.
Right.
So
that is exactly right.
And there, because it's saying 3, I only see 2 indents. That's why I got confused. Wait, no, never mind. I lied. I see 3 now.
Well, so you see 3 indents, but also the outermost. So where span
Yeah.
equals 0,
Yeah.
that's global. right? So that's before you enter the, right, that's the computer marching in a straight line. Spam prints spam. But then if spam equals 10, print eggs. And if spam is greater than 5, print bacon.
So 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So this one I had totally written, and then I think in the span of our conversation today, I overwrote it a million times over. But it shouldn't be too terrible to pull back together again. So does anyone want to walk me through it? Oh, you're going to make me do this myself?
No, I was waiting for, April, do you want to give it a go? Are we by ourselves?
Are you going to start by saying spam is equal to 0?
Oh, yeah. Good call.
Yeah, I like it.
I always
We have to
forget
have
that.
some place to store spam. There has to be a can for the spam. That's a good
Okay.
one.
Let's see. How is spam going to get the input numbers? Are we supposed to input the numbers with input?
Ooh, so you know, when I wrote this the first time, I just, oh, I was not that clever. Okay.
The other thing that you could possibly do, so yes, you can ask for input, but the other thing is if you make spam a list, you could write a for loop that will go through the items in the list and print the corresponding message based on the value.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to go with this one just because we learned this in the previous class and I should know it. So, do
you want to put a message inside input to the user?
Oh, fine. That's not very user-friendly, Jamila.
No, we're going to give you a hard time. No, you can put whatever you want in there. Give it to me, babe.
Okay. Let's go. If spam equals, oh, it's not, it's, if it equals 1, then we're going to print hello. Oops, sorry. What's the next line? Somebody else tell me.
I didn't realize you could put that type of number, please, in that input box. I thought you'd have to put a print before it.
No, what's really interesting about input is it's Python magic. So if you can go dig into the code, but essentially it knows that it takes multiple arguments, and one of the arguments is what you'd like it to print out on the terminal line, and another one is like the shape of the cursor, but I don't remember how to set that. But yeah, it knows that magic. It knows to do that, to print that out.
I guess you put another if statement there. If spam is equal to 2, then on the next line, print howdy. Print howdy if 2 is stored.
So one thing, oh, go ahead.
Oh, else, okay, else, yeah.
And else you want to print greetings.
Print greeting. When I try to do this, I think the spacing, like you said before in the book, is not quite right. And so I could not get anything to run.
So this is always going to print greetings. Do you know why?
Yes, because of this. Wait.
No. If you look at the docs for input, input gives you back whatever's typed as a string. But your test right now is testing for an int. So you're testing for the integer 1 and the integer 2, but input is giving you a string. So if you, underneath spam, if the next line down you put, no, you don't want to convert that to a string, it's already a string.
I'm sorry, int, can I not do an int then?
No, you will want to do that around, yeah, you could do an int there. Try that. Try an int first.
I think that's what I meant in my head.
Could you put that int inside the parentheses where you type a number, please?
Hello.
Oh, hello and greetings.
Very nice debugging there, Jamila, that you need an elif.
There we go.
Woo!
Yeah, so I changed that to elif because what would happen is hello printed and then it went right back into the if again. And the whole point is to only go through this once. So yeah, else if now. So it's treating it as part of this if. And it only does one. So let's see if it'll do it again. Yay. Cool.
Did you say you were going to print these answers in the Slack?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I ran out of time before the thing, but I'm going to follow it up with all this information in there. Yuppers, bud. Okay, so what can you press if your program gets in an infinite loop?
Control T. Control C.
Yes. We talked about the difference between a break and a continue. What's the difference between these ranges that we see on the screen?
0 to 9, 0 to 9. They are all the same.
Yep. They all will do the exact same thing. It's just taking different inputs in order to get there. Now I'm going to skip down to number 14 just because I have kept y'all like way too long. If you had a function named bacon inside of a module named spam, how would you call it after importing spam?
Either bacon.spam or spam.bacon.
Spam.bacon, because I think the module goes first and then the delicious food goes next. And the module was spam, right? Inside a module named spam. So yeah, spam.bacon. Cool. I have this one.
The round and absolute functions. I think I saw something in your interpreter about that, Jamila.
I think maybe it's hiding somewhere. Oh, okay. So I did do this one. So this one for number 13, writing a for loop and a while loop that does the exact same thing, printing the numbers 1 through 10. I probably should give this to Exorcism because I'm sure there's a better way of doing it. But this is my for loop.
I think that's excellent. One of the interesting things, though, is if you change that 1 to a 2, watch what happened. In your first one?
This one?
Yeah, so the last one is step, right?
Yeah.
So if you want Python to take 2 steps instead of 1, and you run that.
It should go up by 3. Wait, no. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9.
Perfect.
By 2.
Yep.
And then this one, I have J, yep, print, and then increase by 1. Isn't there a way to do this more compact? I feel like
There is. So if you take the J from the right-hand side of the equal sign away, and the plus sign from the right-hand side of the equal sign. So you do J plus equals 1.
That's it.
I think that works. Let's double check.
There we go.
That will work for a minus equals or a multiplication equals or a divides equals too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then, okay, yeah. And then we set all of that to C. Nope. Somewhere up here, we have the round. Nope, nope, nope. Too far, too far, too far, too far. Okay. Here we go.
That is awesome.
Rounding. So this is the extra credit part. So this is the effective rounding. If you apply the round function, if it's above 0.5, it goes to the next whole number, or the next integer rather. But if it's below 0.5, it goes down. So I did this like 5.49 just to make sure. And sure enough, it went down. And then ABS is for absolute. So it takes the absolute value of something. So if it's a negative number, it goes positive, or it takes whatever the absolute value of that is. Ooh.
Yeah, I always think of absolute as distance from 0.
Yes, that's what it is. There we go. That's a better way of saying it.
Because I always screw myself up with like comparators and negative numbers, and then I have to remind myself distance from 0. So if I'm, if it's a negative number, greater than is closer to 0.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, basic math is fun.
It was learned so long ago. It's understandable. But I think what do you think? That's chapter 2, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Any outstanding questions? I promise one of these days we're going to get it down either to an hour, or I'm going to actually put in the information that it's going to be an hour and a half long. That way you know what you're getting into.
Or maybe Bethany should just be on mute so she doesn't hijack things.
There's so many options to choose from. But any feedback anyone wants to say, or anything they want to say before we close out tonight?
I know this was great. I'm glad you answered all the questions in the back of the chapter.
Yep, definitely going to make that a priority.
Yeah, I agree. This is great. This is my first. I missed the last one. I just purchased the book the other day, so I actually just made it up to chapter 2. So I hadn't actually read chapter 2 yet, but I did follow along. And Bethany, please don't stop your input, because I think that's very valuable.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She's like amazing, absolutely
Yes,
amazing.
she is. So thanks, you guys.
I do have one other thing to add that I should have, and I won't keep you guys too long. There's one other place that I think is really cool that really, really helps me when I'm trying to figure out what's going on in a program. And that is, and we can actually try it with a small program that you've written, Jamila. If you go to pythontutor.com, this is really, really cool. So if you put a little program in here, you can step through the program piece by piece, and it will show you what the values of all the variables are and all the steps in the program. Yeah, so, and then you have to click the forward button. So there's the global frame. You've got a variable named I, and it's printing each thing as you go along. And as you notice, the value of I is going up each time.
Oh, that is fantastic. Huh.
And you can see it. So if you do the one with the if-else statements in it, that might give you a little more, a little more interaction. So you click edit this code, and you can go back to your, Okay, so type a number, please. It does your input right there. Yeah. And then click forward. Hello. And so it can show you where the evaluation is and what to do, and you can go back and forth. So if you're on the other screen, you can launch a thing that other people can join the session and collaborate on the code. But this, to me, where it will show you what the values of the variables are and where each step in the execution is, has been really, really helpful for me when I kind of get lost in things.
Oh, very nice. I like it. PythonTutor.com gets added to the list. We've got 2 more resources ready to go. Can we just add Bethany as a resource too? Like just throw her down?
Exactly.
Yes.
Hey, and you first. You're excellent at these. You are so good at leading these. You're doing an awesome, awesome job. So.
Oh, thank you guys all so much for participating. This has been awesome. So we're going to do this next week, yes?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. See everyone back here this time next week, and we will tackle chapter 3.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye.
Bye.